the auction block in the rain. The sky was dark. Rain fell hard, soaking the open market ground. Mud covered the wooden auction stage where broken things were sold. Old machines, useless slaves, and unwanted lives. And there she stood, chained at the wrists, her thin body shaking. The alien woman stared ahead. Her long silver hair clung to her face. Her skin, pale with patches of bruises, showed the harsh life she had lived. She wore only a torn cloth robe. People in the market didn't care. They laughed. "Look at this one," a fat trader shouted. An old mother. "No beauty, no strength. Who wants her?" More laughter followed. The woman didn't look at them. She kept her eyes on something behind her, under a dirty blanket near the stage crates. No one saw it, but she was guarding a secret. A child. Her child. The auction continued. "Start at 10 credits, the trader yelled. "Any fool wants her. Maybe someone who needs a cook, or something worse." Still, no hands rose. Then, someone stepped forward from the crowd. A human. He wore a dusty jacket, boots covered in travel dirt, and a tool belt at his side. His name was Callan, a mechanic passing through the city to get spare parts. He hadn't planned to stop. But something about the woman, her silence, her eyes, made him pause. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the rain. Maybe it was the sadness in her face, but he stepped closer. "Is she for sale?" Callan asked. The trader blinked. "Ha! You serious, human? This is junk, a broken piece. You want her?" Callan didn't answer. He looked at her. She looked back at him. No fear in her eyes, no begging. No, just a quiet strength, and then she spoke, her voice low. "Please, not for me. Buy me, so my child can live." Callan's heart skipped. "Child?" He walked around the crate slowly. Behind it, under the thin blanket, a small alien boy was curled up, sleeping or maybe unconscious. His skin was pale green, lips dry. A bone-thin hand clutched the edge of the cloth. The child was barely breathing. The woman stepped forward, chains pulling tight. "I hid him. If they saw him, they'd take him. Sell him to the labs. He's sick. He won't survive another night." The crowd began to laugh again. Now she wants sympathy. Foolish human. Let him die. They're not worth it. Callan looked at the trader. "How much?" The trader smirked. 5 credits for both? 10, but don't blame me if they die on the way. Callan pulled out 10 credits and threw the metal coins in the trader's hand. The chains were unlocked. The woman nearly fell but caught herself. She rushed to the boy, wrapped him in her arms, and looked up at Callan with quiet tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't have to." Callan picked up his tool bag and walked ahead. "Let's get out of here before I change my mind." They walked through the rain. No one followed. No one cared. To the market, she was trash, bought by a strange human. But to Callan, something had changed. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her story, but she had given everything, her pride, her freedom, her safety for her child. And somehow, that made her more human than anyone else he'd met. "You didn't buy me. You saved me." The small room was quiet. Only the sound of slow, weak breathing filled the air. The boy lay on a soft blanket near the heater, wrapped in a dry cloth Callan had given them. His face was pale, his eyes closed, but now he was breathing easier. Syrah, the alien woman, sat beside her son, brushing his damp hair with her thin fingers. Her chains were gone, her hands were free. Yet she sat still, as if she was still afraid to move. She looked around the room. It was small and messy. Tools everywhere, old machines on shelves, wires hanging from the walls. But to her, it felt like a safe place, a real home. She whispered softly, "He's still warm. He'll live." Behind her, Callan placed 2 bowls of hot food on the small table. The smell filled the room. Simple soup, made from what he had. He didn't speak much. He didn't ask questions. He just watched her. And finally she spoke without turning. "Why did you do it?" Kalen leaned. On the wall. Do what? Buy me. Save us. He took a breath. I didn't plan to. I didn't even mean to stop at the market. I was passing through. But then I saw you. And your eyes. They weren't afraid. You weren't begging. Sirah turned to him now, her voice shaking. I gave up everything. I had nothing left. No food. No home. They called me cursed. They said my son was sick and worthless. Her eyes grew wet, but she didn't let the tears fall. So I did the only thing left. I sold myself. Callan walked over and sat on the floor across from her. You didn't sell yourself. You protected your child. That's not weakness, that's strength. She looked at him for a long moment. No one has ever said that to me. He gave a small smile. Maybe they're blind. They sat in silence again. The heater buzzed. Outside, the storm still rumbled. Suddenly, the boy stirred. Mom? Sirah leaned close. I'm here, my little star. Rest. You're safe. The child blinked slowly and looked at Callan. His voice was soft, afraid. Is he bad? Callan raised an eyebrow. Me? I'm the one who made the soup. Sirah smiled for the first time, a tired, quiet smile that made her look younger. You didn't ask my name, she said. You didn't ask mine, Callan replied. She nodded. Sirah, he reached out a hand. Callan. She hesitated, then gently placed her hand in his. Thank you, Callan. Not just for food or shelter, but because you didn't look at me like I was dirt. I didn't see dirt, he said. I saw a mother ready to die for her son. Sirah looked away. You didn't buy me. You saved me. But outside the small window, a shadow moved. A figure stood in the rain, watching the house. A message was already being sent. The alien female has been found. The message read. The child is still alive. Prepare extraction. Inside, Sirah leaned back and held her son close. But danger was not over yet. Chased for the child. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Callan was fixing an old heater near the back wall, sparks flying from his tools. Sirah sat on a mat beside her son, who was now sleeping with color returning to his face. The warmth, food, and safety were helping him recover. But Sirah's ears twitched. She felt it, a presence. Not inside, outside. Watching. She stood and walked to the window. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still black. One street lamp flickered near the edge of the alley. Then it blinked out. Gone. Her heart dropped. Callan, she whispered. He looked up. Yeah? I think someone's here. Callan stood slowly, grabbed a metal bar from his workbench. He moved quietly to the door and pressed his ear to it. Nothing. Then, bang! The side window shattered. Sirah screamed and shielded her child. A tall figure in dark armor jumped in. Masked face, silver eyes, heavy boots. The intruder looked at Sirah. You thought you could hide him. The child belongs to us. Callan rushed forward, swinging the metal bar. It hit the intruder's arm with a loud clang. The figure turned and slammed Callan against the wall. You're not part of this, human. Leave now. Callan wiped blood from his lip. I bought them. They stay. They were never yours, the bounty hunter growled. The child's blood has value. The labs have waited long enough. Sirah grabbed a tool from the table, a sharp cutter, and stood between the man and her son. You'll have to go through me, she said. The hunter tilted his head. I planned to. But Callan wasn't down. He grabbed a cord from the bench and yanked. A heavy machine fell from the shelf and crashed onto the intruder's back. The bounty hunter stumbled, his mask cracking. Run! Callan shouted. Sirah didn't wait. She picked up her child and ran out the back door. Callan followed, locking the door behind him. They ran through narrow alleys, puddles splashing under their feet. The cold wind hit their faces, but they kept running. The boy coughed weakly in her arms. Mom, where are we going? Somewhere safe, baby, she whispered. Just hold on. Behind them, they heard the crash of metal. The hunter had broken free. He was fast, but Callan was smart. He led them through an old junkyard. Broken parts, metal piles, hidden paths only someone who worked with machines could understand. He pointed to an old container. Inside. They slipped, and Sarah held her son tightly, covering his mouth gently so he wouldn't cry out. Callan stood near the door, gripping his metal bar again. The sound of boots echoed outside. The bounty hunter stopped nearby. I can smell his blood, the voice said coldly. You can't protect them, human. You're weak. Callan stayed silent. The hunter stepped closer, but a sudden alarm rang out in the distance. Security patrol. The hunter growled. This isn't over. His steps faded into the shadows. Callan waited 5 minutes. Then 10. Silence. He finally relaxed. Inside the container, Sarah was trembling. You risked your life, she said. For us. Again. Callan sat down, breathing hard. Well. Can't let monsters take kids. Sarah looked at him with wide eyes. You don't even know us, why? He gave a tired smile. Because I do know pain. And I know what it looks like when someone is just trying to survive. Her voice cracked. Then, we need to disappear. Callan nodded. I know a place. An old human outpost in the mountains. No one goes there anymore. She looked down at her sleeping child. Will you help us get there? Callan met her eyes. I'm not letting you go alone. Not anymore. Outside, the bounty hunter vanished into the night. But his message had already been sent. They were now on the galaxy's most wanted list. A safe place. Or, so they thought. Snow crunched under Callan's boots. He carried Sarah's son on his back, wrapped in layers of cloth. The child slept, warm for the first time in days. Sarah walked beside him, her thin arms clutching a bag of tools and food. Her feet slipped often. She was weak, but she didn't stop. The wind howled around them as they climbed the hill. Behind them, the stars vanished behind thick clouds. The forest was silent, almost too silent. There, Callan pointed. An old rusty building stood half buried in snow and dirt. The human outpost had been shut down years ago. No guards, no drones, just an empty shell. But to them, it was hope. Inside, the lights flickered, weakly when Callan connected a battery to the system. Dust filled the air. Metal groaned under their feet. But the structure held. Sarah walked through the hall slowly. This is where we'll live? It's not pretty, Callan said, but no one will find us here. She opened a side door and found a small room. She set down the bag and laid her son on a soft pile of old blankets. He stirred, eyes fluttering open. Are we safe now? He asked. Sarah touched his face gently. Yes, for now. But even as she spoke, her body tensed. Safety felt too good, too sudden. Like something was waiting to break it. Callan worked quickly. He rewired the lights, restarted the heating system, and set up motion sensors at the entrance. He even found an old water purifier that still worked. Sarah watched him, amazed. You fix everything, she whispered. He smiled. Old habit. When you've lived alone as long as I have, tools become your only family. Her face softened. I used to fix things too, she said. Before all this. He paused. You were a technician? A bioengineer. On the outer moons. Then, my husband died. And the labs came for my son. They said he had valuable traits. Callan's hands froze. They wanted to turn him into a weapon, she continued. So I ran. I ran until I had nothing left. She sat down, holding her knees. They call me cursed, unfit, but I just wanted him to live. Callan crouched beside her. You're not cursed, Syrah. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Her lips parted, eyes wide. She had never been called that before. A soft sound interrupted them. The child was coughing, soft at first, then stronger. Syrah rushed to him. His skin was pale again, forehead hot. He's burning up. Callan, move fast. There's an old med unit here. I saw it earlier. I'll try to get it working. She held her son tight. Please, Callan, I can't lose him now. He raced down the hall, found the med room, and pulled open the rusty doors. The unit was old, half dead, but maybe it could work. He started rewiring it with shaking, hands connecting power from the main system. Sparks flew. A low hum filled the room. It worked, barely. He pushed the machine to the room where the boy lay. Syrah looked up at him, tearful. Will it help? Callan nodded. Let's find out. He placed the scanner on the boy's chest. The lights blinked, then beeped steadily. The fever is high, Callan said, reading the screen. But we caught it in time. He'll need rest, fluids, but he'll make it. Syrah covered her mouth, overcome with relief. Callan sat back, exhausted. I didn't think we'd get this far, she said quietly. He chuckled. Me neither. They sat together in silence as snow tapped softly on the roof above. But neither of them noticed the tiny red light blinking deep inside the med unit. A tracking signal, silent, hidden, transmitting coordinates. Her past is not dead. Syrah hadn't slept. She sat beside her son all night, watching his chest rise and fall. The fever had dropped, thanks to Callan's fast thinking. The med unit hummed softly nearby. The boy now slept peacefully, but Syrah's eyes remained wide open. Memories didn't let her rest. Not tonight. She stood up quietly and walked to the hallway where Callan had set up an old workbench. He was still awake too, fixing a heater coil by lantern light. You should be resting, Callan said without looking up. I couldn't, Syrah answered. There was a long pause. Then she sat beside him, placing her hands in her lap. I need to tell you something, she said softly, about who I was and who's hunting us. Callan put down his tools. He listened. I wasn't just a bioengineer, she said. I worked for the Dominion's core labs. My job was to study alien DNA, hybrid cells, adaptive traits, regenerative skin. Callan blinked. You were a high-level scientist? She nodded. I met a researcher from Earth. A human. Kind, quiet, smart. We fell in love. We married. He gave me hope. He gave me my son. Callan leaned forward. Your son? He's half human? Syrah looked down. Yes. And that's why they want him. Callan sat back, stunned. The Dominion doesn't allow mixed bloodlines. They claim it's dangerous, unpredictable. But when they tested my son, they found something else, something rare. His blood can regenerate at an unnatural speed. She swallowed hard. They call it the living core. If they capture him, they'll drain him. Experiment on him. Make weapons. Callan's hands clenched into fists. And your husband? They silenced him. Officially, it was an accident. She looked away. It wasn't. Callan stood, pacing slowly. So, when you ran, they tracked you? I thought I covered my tracks, she said. But I was wrong. A sudden beep came from the old console. Callan rushed to it. His face went pale. They found us. What? Syrah stood quickly. He showed her the blinking signal. That med unit was still connected to the Dominion's database. They locked onto it when it activated. Her heart sank. How long? Maybe hours, maybe minutes. We have to move. She grabbed her son gently, still wrapped in blankets. Where can we go now? Callan thought quickly. There's a deep waste zone past the ridge. Radio black zone. Old mining tunnels. They can't track us there. Syrah nodded. Let's go. They packed fast. Tools, food, batteries. Callan rigged a sled from spare parts and gently placed the boy on it. The snow had stopped, but the cold was sharp. Time was running out, as They stepped out the side door. Syrah paused. Callan? He turned. Yeah? You didn't have to stay involved. You could have walked away the day you bought me. He looked at her. I didn't buy you, Syrah. I chose you. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. She just nodded and followed him into the dark forest trail. But in the sky above, a dark shape entered the atmosphere. Silent, sleek, and deadly. Thor, Dominion was coming, and they weren't just hunting a child now. They were hunting all of them, fight or run. The stars were gone. Thick clouds covered the sky as Callan and Syrah pushed through the forest trail. Each step was slower now. Snow had turned the path into deep, wet sludge. The sled dragged behind, carrying Syrah's son, still sleeping, still weak. Their breaths were heavy. The cold bit at their faces. But they didn't stop. They couldn't. They'll be here soon, Callan said, glancing at the sky through the trees. Dominion ships move fast. Syrah clutched her child's small hand. Then we move faster. They crossed into the waste zone, dry, cracked land where nothing lived. The old mining tunnels were just ahead. Suddenly, a high-pitched whistle sliced through the air. They froze. A red flare had lit the sky behind them. Callan cursed under his breath. They found the outpost. We've got maybe 20 minutes. Syrah turned, eyes wild. Then we hide now. They reached the mouth of a half-buried tunnel. The entrance was broken, but Callan squeezed through first. He helped pull the sled. And inside it was dark and damp. Dust danced in the cold air. Callan used his flashlight. The tunnel went deep, twisting, turning, perfect to hide. But something inside Syrah shifted. She looked down at her son. His skin was warmer, his breathing stronger. He's healing, she whispered. Callan looked at her. Good, then he'll survive this. But Syrah didn't speak. She stared ahead into the tunnel. Thinking, then she turned to Callan. I can't run anymore. What? He said sharply. They'll keep chasing us. As long as he's alive, as long as I am, they'll never stop. Callan stepped close. So what? We give up? Let them take you? No, she said. We fight. We end it here. He blinked. Syrah, there are soldiers coming. You've seen what they carry. Plasma rifles, scanners, shields. She nodded. Yes, but I know something they don't. She opened her bag and pulled out a small black device, a sleek box with blinking lights. Callan narrowed his eyes. What's that? She looked at him. Something I never threw away. A disruptor core. A tech I helped build. What does it do? If placed near a landing ship, it can fry every sensor, weapon system, and comm line. They'll be blind. Powerless. We can stop them, but only if we split up. Callan hesitated. You want to walk straight into their landing zone? She gave a weak smile. They'll expect us to keep running. I'll go back. Plant this. You keep my son safe. Callan shook his head. No. You're not doing this alone. She stepped closer. Callan, you already saved me once. Let me do something for you now. Her voice shook, but her eyes stayed strong. If I survive, I'll find you. If you don't, he asked. She looked down. Then tell him his mother gave everything so he could live free. A silence hung between them. Then, finally, Callan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver disc. Tracker beacon, he said. You press this when you need me. I'll come running. Syrah took it gently, her fingers brushing his. I never thought I'd meet someone like you. He smiled. Then promise me you'll come back. She nodded. I will. She turned and walked toward the tunnel entrance, snow already covering her steps. Callan knelt beside the boy, who opened his eyes slowly. Where's Mom? He asked. Callan pulled him close. She's making sure we're safe. And above, the Dominion ship slowly descended, its engines humming like thunder in the clouds. The trap was being set and Syrah was ready. More than a bargain, the Dominion ship landed like a beast of war. Its silver belly hissed steam. Doors opened wide. Soldiers in black armor stepped out in perfect lines. They scanned the trees, searched for footprints. A voice echoed from their comms. Target female and hybrid child. Do not fail. But someone was already waiting. Hidden behind rocks near the ship's underbelly, Syrah crouched low, snow clinging to her hair and skin. Her hands shook, not from cold, but from fear, and something else, willpower. She pulled the disruptor core from her coat and powered it on. The lights blinked red, yellow, green. It was armed. Her fingers tightened around the small beacon Callan had given her. She remembered his voice. Press this when you need me. I'll come running. But she didn't press it. Not yet. She slid down silently and placed the device near the ship's engine coils. Then she whispered, "For you, my son." And she ran. From behind the trees, a Dominion soldier spotted her. There, the female! Blasters fired. Snow exploded beside her. Syrah ducked, rolled, and sprinted toward the frozen ridge, drawing them away from the ship. She was fast, but not fast enough. A blast hit her side. She fell into the snow, gasping. Her hand reached for the beacon. She pressed it. Far away, deep inside the old tunnels, Callan's watch beeped. His eyes shot open. She called me. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He grabbed his old rifle, his tool belt, and a flare. He wrapped the child tight in blankets and whispered, "Stay hidden. I'll bring her back." Then he ran. Snow flew under his feet. His breath turned to steam. His boots bled heat with each step. But his mind was only on her. He reached the ridge in minutes, and what he saw made his blood boil. 3 Dominion soldiers stood over her. Syrah's body curled in the snow, her hand still on the beacon. Not so brave now. One soldier mocked. Callan lifted the rifle. Step away from her. The soldiers turned, surprised. Another human. They laughed until the flare landed near their feet and burst. The flash blinded them for seconds, but that's all Callan needed. He fired. His old rifle wasn't strong, but it was fast. One soldier went down. Another charged. Callan ducked, used his wrench like a hammer, and cracked the soldier's helmet. He dropped. The last one swung hard, but Syrah moved, still alive. She kicked his leg from the ground, and Callan finished the fight. Snow settled again. He dropped beside her. "You pressed the beacon?" She smiled faintly. "Told you I would. You're bleeding. I'll live." The ship? Just then the air behind them sparked. Boom! A loud pulse burst from the Dominion ship. The disruptor core activated. Sparks flew. Lights died. Systems shut down. The soldiers inside panicked. They were trapped. Callan looked at her, stunned. "You really did it." Syrah leaned her head against him. "I told you. I used to build dangerous things." Later, in the safety of the tunnels, the child opened his eyes again, and this time both his parents were there. Syrah, bandaged but breathing. Callan, tired but smiling. The boy sat up and looked around. Are we okay now?" Callan nodded. "They won't find us again." Syrah took her son's hand. "You're free now, and you'll stay free." He blinked. "Are we going to live here forever?" Callan shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe we'll build something new. Together." Syrah looked at him. "Are you sure?" He leaned closer. "I didn't fall for the woman I bought. I fell for the one who never gave up." "You?" She smiled. Real and full. "Then let me stay," she whispered. "Not as something bought, but as someone who's home." He took her hand. "You've always been more than a bargain." And in that cold, broken world, they started building something new. Together. The end.